Hi, Paula.
Hi.
It's Karen Horseman speaking. I've got Eva Ross with me, and we're both lawyers from the Ministry of Attorney General in British Columbia, Canada. We've explained that to you, right?
Yes.
And you're Paula Barrett. And we're sitting here in the home of your sisters, Rena and Kathleen, in Anacortes, Washington.
Yes.
And you're here visiting. You normally live in Utah, is that right?
That's right.
And we've explained to you that up in Canada we have a reference that the court is going to hear about our polygamy prohibition in the Criminal Code of Canada.
Yes.
And do you understand the court's going to be asked to answer the question of whether that provision is constitutional or not?
Yes.
And we've explained to you that Eva and I have been talking to people and trying to just gather information from people who have experienced life in a polygamous community.
Yes.
And you've kindly agreed to share your story with us.
Yes, I would.
And you understand that the video that we're taking right now, it might be put into evidence at the reference.
Yes.
And you understand the importance of being truthful in what you say today.
Yes, I do.
Paula, you're the daughter of Clyde Macart and his first wife, Midge, is that right?
That's right.
And so you grew up in Salt Lake City, is that right?
Yes.
And Rena and Kathleen are daughters of one of Clyde's other wives, Myra.
Yes.
And Paula, perhaps we could just start by having you explain to us. I know we've talked about that you have a mental disability.
Yes, I do.
Can you explain to us what that is?
Well, before I got married, I found out from my parents that I was mentally retarded. I had bad kidneys. One kidney was completely shut down, and the other one was almost lost using my other kidney. And it was just got bad. And I grew up around loving parents. I mean, they taught me well. They guided my footsteps in the way that Heavenly Father would see it. I had no problems with them, and anything I wanted to talk over, I could either talk to my father or my mother about. They sat down and just really listened to me and helped me out with my years as a child.
And so was this a disability you've had since birth?
Yes, it has.
Okay. And so you grew up in Salt Lake City, and you were in a polygamous family, is that right?
That's correct.
And do you recall what you were taught about marriage as you were growing up?
I was taught that being a plural wife is more fun because it gives you the perspective from a husband or sister wife that you would be able to cope and be happy with the atmosphere and work together and do things together and it's teamwork. And we did. My father always taught me never to ignore warnings. Like the premonition I had 3 months before my brother Philip and my other 3 brothers were in a severe car accident. I had that 3 months before it happened. Like Heavenly Father was trying to get me, telling me that what I said, what happened, would take place, and for them not to go out. Well, I tried to tell my father and mother that, and they didn't believe me till it happened. Then it dawned on them, when it happened, they turned to me, "You were right." And I said, I was trying to tell you, but you didn't. You were so wound up in everything else that you didn't listen till it happened.
And as far as the religious teachings in your house went, then Paula, would you go to church services or?
Yes, I went to church services. I went to Fireside for six times. And I met the man I didn't know I was going to be married to at Fireside through his daughter Laura.
And when you were growing up and you got these religious teachings about plural marriage, did you always understand that one day you would be placed as a wife as well?
I didn't. I understood I was going to be placed as a wife, but not a second wife. I thought I'd be placed as first wife.
And why did you rather be placed as a first wife?
So I can have more understanding, more acquainted with my husband and do things and help him out as much as I could, be part of his life and share his pain and his joy and things, and just be there side by side by him.
And when the time came that you actually did learn who you were going to marry, can you explain to us how that happened?
Actually, I knew I belonged to Dallas Leslie Barrett the third since I was 12 or 13 years old. Never said a word about it to my parents because I didn't know how they would react. I didn't know if they were going to be happy or if they're going to be angry, because I knew.
How did you know?
Heavenly Father told me in a dream I was going to be married to him, but I was not going to say a thing to my parents until my father told me that Sunday morning, that I was going to get married to Dallas Barrett. And then I told him I knew that was the man I was going to marry ever since I was 12 or 13 years old.
And how old were you when your dad told you that you'd be marrying Dallas?
I was 20 going on 21.
And he told you on a Sunday? Is that
Yeah,
right?
he went, see, when any of his, the polygamous children, girls get ready for marriage, they take them to the priest at head. And then in this case, that was Leroy Sunderland Johnson. That was a priest at head. He went and my father took myself, Kathy and Rowena and Roberta, and my stepsister Doreen to go see him. And he asked if we knew of anyone we wanted to be placed by, and I had his name on the end of my tongue, but I didn't say it. And then after he got through talking to us, he said, I want you to do something. I want you to say a prayer and ask Heavenly Father to give me the revelation to know where you belong.
He said this to you?
He said this to all of us, and all except for my stepsister Doreen followed through.
And so was it after this meeting that you've just described that your dad told you that it was Dallas that you'd be marrying?
Yep. He told me it was Dallas Barrett the third, that I was going to be happy. And like I said before, I thought being a second wife and coming into a family with plural marriage would be fun, exciting, and working together. But days after, it turned nothing but pain and agony.
Mm-hmm. And so how long after your dad told you did the wedding actually take place?
The wedding took place on October 28th, 1974.
And who performed the ceremony, do you remember?
A man by the name of Guy Musser. He was one of the priests at head back then that we went and saw and was placed by.
Okay. And so you were Dallas's second wife?
I was the second wife.
And was Dallas already living with his first wife when you moved in?
Yes.
And how many children did Dallas have with his first wife?
He had 7.
And then can you explain to us what your life was like after you moved in with Dallas and his first wife?
My life changed from being understanding, being the type of woman that would understand, thought we'd have a sister wife by my side, to pure hell. Every day, day in and day out, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to the store. I couldn't take walks. I couldn't do anything I wanted to. I had to put her aside and take care of my children and clean his house.
And did you have any children with Dallas?
Yes, I did.
How many children did you have?
I had 7, 6 living as well as his first wife.
And how many pregnancies did you have?
I had 9 pregnancies.
9. How many miscarriages did you have?
I had 4 miscarriages.
So 4 miscarriages and 7 children, is that right?
That's right.
And what was life like for you after your children were born?
It was pure joy. I did most of my time in front of the children. When it came to helping them out, if I had the money, I'd give it to them. I didn't want any of it back. That's why my children respect me and love me so much like they do now. because I stood up for all of them, my oldest and my youngest.
And what was their relationship like with Dallas?
It was, they hated him from day one. All of them. My oldest son hated his father because him and his father did not get along. From day one, they just fought like crazy. And he tried to make it right. He tried to talk to him and things, and my oldest son just wouldn't listen.
And what about your other children? What was their relationship like with their dad?
Same as my oldest son. They all hated their father because they didn't like when they saw me. They see me crying, and they'd put their hands on my back, and I'd practically jump out of my skin. That's when they knew that their father and his first wife were beating on me.
Like physically beating you?
Physically and mentally.
And you were saying that before you got married, you'd been told that the plural marriage would create a team and it would be happy for you.
Exactly.
And when you were actually living with Dallas and his first wife, did it ever work as a team for you?
Never. I never did. I never did anything together. We never cooked dinner together. It was pure, my children, me were like Cinderella, doing all the housework and staying up late at night, going to bed late and early the next morning, then have to get up again at 6 o'clock.
And were there ever any, did you ever have any interactions with Dallas that were warm or intimate or?
None. He raped me shortly after we were married.
And your children at some point in time were taken by the state, is that right?
That's right. My youngest son was 7. My youngest daughter was 4 when they were taken.
And can you tell us what happened?
Well, that day, his first wife didn't like what she was seeing. I mean, she acted like she was a good mother and tried to get the house cleaned up. And then she went and told everybody else that I was a bad mother. And everybody agreed with her that I should have my children taken away. So she called the police up and had him come in the house, physically remove my children. And I never got to share their birthdays. I missed all their birthdays. I missed all their happiness. I missed all their motherly love. And I wanted. And I was just torn apart. I felt like I wanted to end it when they took them.
And were you still living with Dallas and his first wife after this happened?
I had to. I couldn't leave without them getting mad at me and trying to drag me back.
And what was your life like after that, after your children left?
Pure hell. Never had one moment's peace. He let me get out and get a job. I had to come home with money, and he'd get mad because I wouldn't give him the money.
What kind of jobs did you do, Paula?
I worked at fast food places, a secondhand store, and department stores, and it's all that. And between my stepsister and my ex, I lost all those jobs that I liked.
Which stepsister?
Doreen. She abused me before and after I got married, as well as my ex and his first wife.
And that was before you got married, the abuse with Doreen?
Yes, it was.
Had you gone to school growing up?
When I grew up, and my mother tried to get me to go into different schools. And the teacher said I was too smart I didn't go to school until 5th grade.
And then how many years did you go?
I went to school for about 6 years after that. And my school was Westlake Junior High school, and my brother Philip and I went there, and that was Philip's last year of high school, my first year of that high school, junior high.
And I'm sorry, I interrupted you because we were talking about the jobs that your husband does.
My jobs were just hard for me to stay with. They respected me and the way I did things, ran things, and my ex didn't like that idea of me having money, and he didn't get money. He gets his Social Security. And I just tried to do everything I could to please him. Did everything cooperated with his first wife, combed her hair when she needed it, and I just couldn't hack it anymore.
And when you worked, were you were saying that Dallas expected you to give your wages over to him? Is that right?
Yep. Every time we went I got my check, he'd think I could cash it and give it to him. And when I didn't, it got him angry.
And did the abuse that you've been describing, did that continue after your kids left?
Yep. After my kids left.
And when you had you said 4 miscarriages and 7 births, so 11 pregnancies altogether, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you discuss with Dallas having children, or?
No, I told Dallas I'd like to have children, and he said, "Okay, let's do it." And so we did it. And the first 4 miscarriages, I'd go to the doctor. He'd drop me off at the doctor's office and wouldn't go in with me. And so when I went in, I sat down. The doctor did an ultrasound on the baby to see how the baby was doing. Found the baby with blood all the way around, which indicated to the doctor that I was having a miscarriage. And that I needed to get the baby out and get that done before I started bleeding, or it's going to be bad. Well, he didn't listen. Every time I told him what the doctor said, he'd turn to me and say, "How do you know you're not having a miscarriage?" He wouldn't take me until I started bleeding and pass out. Passed out on my mother twice and on Mother Mary once.
When you were having the miscarriages?
When I was having miscarriages. And it made my mother so angry. And then my oldest son came to the hospital after my last 2 miscarriages and started begging me not to leave him.
Did you talk when you had this abusive situation that you were in, Paula, with Dallas and his first wife? Did you talk to your mom and dad about it?
I talked to my mother and father about it, and they said, "Well, what's going on?" I told them what had happened. At that time, my dad saw the slight handprint on my face when he backhanded me across the face, and so I went and I talked to him and told him. He said, "How can you put up with that?" And I said, "I can't." Started crying, saying, "I can't put up with it. I don't want to. I'm scared of him and him as first wife. My kids are left there alone." He even left my oldest son there. While I was over at my father's for a whole day, wouldn't come back. Got home late at night. My son calling me on the phone, "Mom, I don't know what to do. I'm alone." And I said, "Well, where's the others?" And they said they've all gone with Father to the store, and left him all alone in that house, alone.
And how old was he at that time?
He was 4 years old. 4 or 5 years old, and he was left alone in that house all day.
And when you had this discussion with your mom and your dad about what was going on, did they suggest to you leaving?
They suggested that I stay with him till my father went and reported to Uncle Roy what happened. He reported to Uncle Roy, and all Uncle Roy told me to do is just tough it out.
Tough it out?
Tough it out. I couldn't do anything else but tough it out.
Mm.
until it finally hit me after my father passed away.
Mm. And did Uncle Roy ever have any help for you other than that?
No, I was on my own.
Mm.
And I finally realized that Friday or that Thanksgiving day before then, I needed to get away. Something was just gnawing. Leave him, get away from him. You'll be happier if you do. And I went to my daughter's during the day, and on Friday nights I'd go and do my laundry and take care of my cat and her kittens,
Mm.
and pack up and get ready to go back over. Well, this one Friday I went home, and he said, "By the way, your cats are gone." Because I'd get home and I'd take care of them. He had nothing to do with them. And I said, "What do you mean they're gone?" He says, "Yeah, they're gone." I said, "What are you telling me?" He says, "Somebody came in the house and took the cat." And I know for a fact that he would not let anybody in the house unless he knew they were in the house. And I said, "Tell me the truth. Did you let them come in and take my cat and her kids away?" And when he got home, he said, "Yes."
Mm.
I said, "That tears it. I'm out of here. Goodbye."
And when was this, Paula?
That was when I was babysitting for my oldest daughter, Charlotte, when I was
Mm-hmm.
living with her,
Mm-hmm.
her at her apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd go over there and take care of her and help clean her house and take care of her kids. And on weekends I'd go home and do my laundry and
Mm-hmm.
rest up before I went back over there.
Mm-hmm. So by the time that you're talking about, you were splitting your time between your kids and Dallas's home. And we've kind of jumped forward here because you talked to us about when your kids were taken by the state. Were all 6 of your children taken?
All but my oldest son. He was the only one that wasn't in the house when they were taken. Because like I said before, he had been through it. He knows what it feels like to be abused, and even in a foster home, be abused and neglected. Because he's been there.
And so how old was your oldest son when that happened, when the state took your kids?
My oldest son, he was 20 when they took him. When they took my other kids out of the home, he was not in the home.
Okay.
When they took my other kids.
And so your 5 younger children, they were all placed in foster care, is that right?
Yeah, all 5 of them were placed in foster care.
And is that where they were raised then, was in foster care?
It was. I missed them. I missed all their birthdays. I missed being with them. When they were just a little ways from the house, I couldn't go to the school where they were. They'd yank him out. I couldn't see him. I was just torn up inside, thinking that she would turn me in, have my kids taken.
But you have a relationship now, again, with your kids?
Yes, I do, with all my children. And I can call them up and talk to them, or text them a message, and talk to them and have them respond back. And it's just beautiful the way my oldest son and I are really close.
Mm. And your daughter, I understand, is building a room for you to live in her home with her husband?
She's got a 3-bedroom house that she had built from ground up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely beautiful place. She's gorgeous. I love it because I've got a bed to sleep on, and she's more respectful to me. She wants to give me my own little privacy and that, and I can go in and take a shower and go back into my room and get dressed without having to have kids running around in front and trying to walk in on me. And she's just more loving and understanding. She calls me up every day just to make sure I'm okay.
And so you've left the church then permanently now?
I've left the Polygamous church permanently, yes.
And can you just explain to us what the final, how that finally happened for you?
Well, that weekend on Thanksgiving night, 2008, I was at home getting my last minute stuff together and putting suitcases And he told me that he wanted me to leave, and when I told my daughter that, she goes, Mom, I'm happy for you. She says, I don't want you ever to feel like you're being mistreated again. Because I always tried on the phone to my children when my husband and my ex had abused me. I try over to him on the phone, finally knowing my daughter picked me up and took me to get married. They got married January 12th or February 12th. That's when my daughter got married. My second daughter got married.
Mm-hmm.
And she brought me over and I said, what about your father? She said, never mind him. We just want you to come because we don't like what he's doing to you.
Mm-hmm. And so, your children that were raised in foster care, are any of them in the FLDS church?
My two youngest ones, my youngest son is, because he found out through him that he's home in the priesthood now.
Mm.
My youngest son is home in the priesthood and goes to church every Sunday.
To the FLDS church?
Yes.
And the rest of your children are not, they're out of the church, is that
That's
right?
That's correct.
And so, Paula, you were explaining that on Thanksgiving in 2008 was when Dallas told you to leave. And so was that when you finally left his home for good?
Yep. I finally left his home up there one more time to get my... See, that's another thing I wanted to share is whenever I had a TV set, my TV set would break down, I wouldn't have to worry about buying a TV set because my second oldest son, when he went buy TV sets, he'd buy one for him and one for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just been loving son ever since because every time my TV break down, he'd bring me a brand new one.
Mm.
He's more loving and more caring for me than I am, than he knows I am for him.
Mm. And so when you left Dallas's home that Thanksgiving, were you able to take your things with you, or?
I took 2 suitcases full of things that I had to take with me, but I lost everything else.
Like what sort of things did you lose?
I lost my genealogy about my sisters and their families, and my mother and father and their families, my grandpa and grandpa on my mother's side, my grandpa and grandma on my father's side, and my pictures. I had my precious pictures. I lost those, and I lost a glass clock, and I lost my daughter's teddy bear that they gave her at the hospital, Primary Children's Hospital.
So when you say you lost those things, is that because Dallas wouldn't let you take them, or?
He wouldn't give me time to get everything out before they sold the house.
Mm. And did you have any contact with Dallas or his first wife after you left that day?
No, I never did.
Yeah. And is he still alive right now?
My Dallas is dead. He died about a month ago.
Just a month ago.
He just recently died.
Yeah. Do you know anything about whether he's left any estate or?
He left his estate. He made a will out. And in that will, it declared that his first wife, her children get everything, his money, everything, and me and my children get nothing.
Mm.
When he kicked me out with no money, nothing.
And you weren't a legal wife?
No, I was not.
So Paula, you've taught us about what you were taught growing up about plural marriage. What do you think now?
I think it was a big mistake going into plural marriage.
Why?
Because if it wasn't, I'd still be married, I'd still be together, and we'd still have a family. But it was a big mistake, knowing his first wife hated me from day one.
So it wasn't anything that ever worked out for you?
Nothing worked out for me, no.
Paula, thank you very much for answering my questions. Is there anything else that you wanted to make sure that you said on this videotape that you think it's important for the court to hear?
All I want to say is I don't want anybody thinking plural marriage is a happy, excitement thing for them. After what I've been through, I'm totally against plural marriage. Make it a law, do everything you can to stop it before anyone else gets hurt, possibly killed.
Thanks, Paula. Eva, was there anything else that you wanted to ask Paula about?
Paula, if you don't mind, I just do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
I'm just going back on some of the things that you've said, and one of the things that you said is that your children love you because you stood up for all of them. Can you tell us what you meant by that?
Well, anytime my children got into trouble with their father,
Mm-hmm.
I'd stick up for him. I'd tell him, no way, you're not going to hurt him, you're not going to kick him out, you're not going to do anything to him.
Okay.
You're not going to call the police on him.
Okay.
Because that's what he wanted to do with my oldest son before I threatened to leave him. I said, anytime when it comes to talking things over with him, I'll stand behind you. But when it comes to the life of my family, meaning my children, I'll stand behind them before I stand behind you. And I stood up, I protected them as much as I could, and I wouldn't let their father call the police on him.
What was Dallas's first wife's relationship with your children like?
Nothing. When I'm at work, she'd have them sit on the couch like dummies. It's like moves should hit them. She wouldn't let them move until I got home. And then she let them get off the couch and they'd come running, crying, scared to death. I mean, most all of them wet their pants because they were so scared to move. She wouldn't let them do anything. When we lived in Rose Park, my oldest son, she had some Mexican coins that were missing. And she blamed my son as well as her two boys. And that poor kid, what she made them, my husband, their father, made them go 2 weeks without nothing to eat. No food, nothing, for 2 solid weeks. And it just tore, my son was so sick because he hadn't had any food to eat. I'd sometimes sneak a roll or crust of bread up there for him, and I'd sit there and he would devour that like he was starving for years, and it was 2 weeks they went without eating. They came home, did their chores, went straight to bed.
And what was your relationship like with the first wife's children?
They like, I got along with them. I mean, we communicated together. We're best friends for a while until things started happening where their children go crying to their mother, and tell them that my children did such and such a thing, and then all hell breaks loose.
So would you say that your status in the house was different than the first wife's then?
It was different. I mean, I did things that I was taught by my parents.
Mm-hmm.
My mother and father taught me to do teamwork, get everybody, say, come on, let's go do teamwork and get things done. Instead of just sitting there expecting the other people to get them done. That's the way my parents taught me. And that's the way I thought I could do with Betty's children, but apparently it didn't work out that way.
And I think those are my questions. Thank you very much for talking to us today, Paula.
Okay.